Hello, I'm Sarah Coates and you're watching I24 News. We begin with a breaking story, and Iran claims to have hacked the phone of the leader of Israel's newly formed Blue and White Party, Benny Gantz, saying all of his personal information has been taken. Now, according to Israel's Channel 12 News, Israel's national security agency, the Shin Bet, says it approached Gantz to inform him of the hacking, telling him that no classified information was on the device. Now, following this story breaking, Gantz has cancelled a campaign appearance for tonight. He's also the former chief of the Israeli Defence Forces and is currently leading the polls ahead of the April 9 snap elections here in Israel. And for more, let's bring in our senior international affairs correspondent, Owen Alterman. Owen, thank you. We all know how much, let's say, sensitive information we hold on our phones. So tell us, how much impact could this have on Benny Gantz?
Well, first of all, Sarah, important to note what you just said, which is that the Shin Bet has said that there was no classified information on this phone. We should say, of course, Benny Gantz was the head of the entire Israeli army up until a few years ago. That's his main calling card in these elections. But once you retire, you don't have a particularly protected phone. So it's not as if the Iranians were able to get past some kind of particular Israeli security on that phone. He was just a civilian, and he had a normal civilian's phone, according to the reports. But again, obviously, the Iranians, by all accounts, now have access to all of the contents of those phones. Sarah, the concern being that they could potentially use some of those contents to blackmail Benny Gantz, either during the course of the election campaign, or even worse, once he takes up a senior position as defense minister or even prime minister after the elections. So again, this is a real blow to Benny Gantz, and I suspect a real blow to a sense of security here in Israel.
Certainly, and we are seeing Farsi media reporting extensively on this story. Owen, we're seeing that up on our screens now. So tell us, if they've managed to get into Benny Gantz's phone, do you believe that they may come out to say other people have been hacked as well?
It's anyone's guess, Sarah. And by the way, we should note, there is no reason to believe that there's anything in particular or particularly incriminating in Benny Gantz's phone. It's just that, you know, as you or I know, if you have access to someone's telephone, you have access to everything on it.
Certainly.
And it's hard to imagine there's a person on the planet who doesn't have something on his phone that he wouldn't want the Iranians to have in their hands. So again, a real blow. And yeah, it raises the question of whose other phones were hacked into. And I suspect will raise the question over time, but whether other public figures here in Israel should be having extra protection on their phones.
Okay, Owen Alterman, thank you for breaking that down. Israel's intelligence agency, the Mossad, has released new information published in secret files taken from Iran, which shows that an underground facility used for nuclear activity is older than the Islamic Republic admits to. The Institute for Science and International Security releasing a report saying that it's significant as it shows Iran is lying to the international community regarding a nuclear facility which has no use other than military. The report adding that the infrastructure may be 5 years older than what the Islamic Republic has made the world believe. Let's go now to London, where members of Parliament have voted to extend the Brexit deadline further than March 29, supporting a motion forced upon Prime Minister Theresa May by the Commons. Now, that motion was put forward with May being forced to agree to if her plan was defeated once again. It was passed by 412 votes to 202 in favour of proposing a one-off extension, providing May's deal wins the approval of Parliament next week. And for more on this story, let's go now to our UK correspondent, Jonathan Sashadotti in London. Jonathan, thanks for being with us again. A lot of votes today in the House of Commons, so run us through what happened and the significance of all of this.
Yes, Sarah, it seems to be a successful day for Theresa May, if one can call it success. She managed to get through the motion that she put without the amendments that could have ruined it and undermined her approach. But of course, she's really still reeling from the 2 rejections of her deal that have happened so far by Parliament, and still she will try to get that deal through again, it seems. She managed to fight off one amendment today that would have stopped her being able to put that to another meaningful vote in the House of Commons, as well as another amendment which would have tried to seize power away from her to allow Parliament to decide on business for an entire day of debates, which would have been for indicative votes on how Parliament wanted to progress with the deal with the EU. So she's managed to fight those off, but she has had to ask for extra time. she'll be pushing for that time to be quite limited so that she can try simply to get her deal through again, insisting that it is still the best deal that there is to be made with the EU, and that really what she's trying to do is use that time to convince members of Parliament that that's the case, though she may be going back to Brussels and asking for a few tweaks again. They've said so far that that won't be happening.
OK, so Jonathan, tell us, does the EU have to grant her an extension?
No, they do not. And in fact, the EU has already made it clear, both before and after this result, that they would consider an extension, but all 27 member states have to agree to it. Just one of them can veto it. And what that means is that they'll be wanting to know why Theresa May and the UK government would like more time to debate. They've had 2 years, and she's been going back and forward between Brussels and London in order to negotiate the deal that she's had rejected twice by the House of Commons. They'll want to know what she's going to do differently during that time, or if nothing, what she thinks has changed that means she might be able to get the deal through a third time. So won't be easy, but it does seem likely that she may get that extension. What they will ask for in return, again, remains to be seen. OK, Jonathan,
Sasha Doty there in London, thank you very much for that update. And we are hearing breaking news now. Unconfirmed reports of red alerts here in Tel Aviv. Our studios are based in Jaffa, just a couple of kilometres from the centre of Tel Aviv. And these are just initial reports. We must stress that. But of course, we will bring you more information on this developing story as it becomes available. Let's go now to the US, where Democrat Beto O'Rourke, the former congressman who rose to political stardom last year, has announced he's running for president. The 46-year-old is now the 15th Democrat to declare his bid for the White House in an already crowded field of candidates hoping to oust President Donald Trump from power.
We can begin by fixing our democracy and ensuring that our government works for everyone and not just for corporations. We can invest in the dignity of those who work and those who seek to work. We can ensure that every single American can see a doctor and be well enough to live to their full potential.
All right, let's go back now to this breaking news, and red alerts are being heard here in Tel Aviv. We cannot hear it as we are in a soundproof studio, but there are reports coming in from a number of people who have said that they have heard loud booms, and there haven't been red alerts. Let's go back to you, Owen, now. For quite some time here in Tel Aviv, when was the last time, and how likely is it that these reports are in fact true?
Well, the last time was during the 2014 war, Sarah. Look, I think, as you said, we're in a soundproof studio, so what do I know? But I think these kind of reports should be taken with a significant amount of caution. Generally speaking, the pattern of activity between Israel and Hamas is that red alerts wouldn't sound in Tel Aviv until well into a conflict, until hours or even days into a conflict. It would seem very, very strange and outside the usual patterns of this conflict for a red alert to be sounding in Tel Aviv on a night like tonight, in the absence of any extraordinary tension on the Israel-Gaza border. As we all know, there's a base level of tension there. It would be a real surprise and a real departure from the pattern. But look, what do I know?
Okay. And we are hearing now that there definitely are red alerts here in Tel Aviv. The people outside of our studio now are going to the shelter. Owen, tell us a little bit more. All right, we need to leave this broadcast now, but we will continue to update you on this situation as red alerts are being heard here in Tel Aviv. Thanks for staying with us, and we will keep you updated.